Welcome to Reading the Psalms. My name is Dan, and I'm going to read Psalm 119, verses 89 through 96 today. Psalm 119, starting in verse 89. Forever, O Lord, thy word is settled in heaven. Thy faithfulness is unto all generations. Thou hast established the earth, and it abides. They abide this day according to thine ordinances, for all things are thy servants. Unless thy law had been my delight, I should have perished in mine affliction. I will never forget your precepts, for with them you have quickened me. I am thine, save me, for I have sought thy precepts. The wicked have waited for me to destroy me, but I will consider your testimonies. I have seen an end of all perfection, but your commandment is exceeding broad. This portion of Psalm 119 reminds me of the way that Psalm 19 is divided into two parts. The first part of Psalm 19, and this section here, speaks about how the world is ordered and functions by God's Word, and then closes by speaking about the great importance that God's Word has for us. We see here that His Word is settled and has foundations in the heavens, and that it is eternally faithful to this creation and orders this complicated world. In Psalm 19, it opens with the sun itself rising in the east and spanning the whole of the heavens and setting in the west in an orderly obedience to God. And that's what we see here. The end of Psalm 19 praises the value and the worth of God's Word. And the end of this portion, we see that we cannot survive without the Word. In verse 92, unless thy law had been my delight, I should have perished in mine affliction. Without a delight in God's law, we would die. We would perish because of the struggles, the terrors, the troubles, and the enemies. We are devoid of life without its quickening or reviving power. We'd be without escape with the enemies closing in, if not for God's Word. The Word shelters us and helps us. It goes beyond all of our perception and goes towards and past all things that we can see. The way it closes, I have seen an end of all perfection, but thy commandment is exceeding broad, demonstrates that God's Word, the very expression of Himself, goes past what we can understand and perceive. And that's why it's so vital for us to hold to. Let's read it again. Forever, O Lord, your word is settled in heaven. Your faithfulness is unto all generations. You have established the earth, and it abides. They abide this day according to your ordinances, for all things are your servants. Unless thy law had been my delight, I should then have perished in mine affliction. I will never forget your precepts, for with them you have quickened me. I am yours. Save me, for I have sought your precepts. The wicked have waited for me to destroy me, but I will consider your testimonies. I have seen an end of all perfection, but your commandment is exceeding broad. The psalmist is trying to call us to see past what we can see, to try to think about that which goes beyond our perception by the very fact that God, who is that way, who spoke to us and gave us His Word, gives us access to far more than we could ever perceive. Well, thanks for listening in, and I hope to talk with you again soon.